Hello and welcome to the West Asia Post. I am Ghadi Francis, coming to you from Beirut, Lebanon, and this is WION's weekly show where we bring you all things new from this region. For more than 600 days, we have been starting our episodes with speaking about Gaza. And for more than 600 days of bloodshed, Israel is still in denial. In the recent, Benjamin Netanyahu is denying that there is any starvation in Gaza, regardless of the fact that the condemnation has become global. We have a lot lined up for you in this episode of the West Asia Post, but first, let's take a quick look at the headlines. Humanitarian organizations across the world are condemning the starvation and the siege on Gaza. But regardless of that, there's another plight for the Palestinians under this struggle. The jailed, imprisoned Palestinians. The plight of the Palestinians in the jails is also being met with denial. In the most recent bizarre statement, Benjamin Netanyahu said the Palestinian prisoners are overweight. Listen in.
It's truly a famine. There is nothing more left. We are done. It is enough. I am waiting for my turn, and God only knows if my turn will ever come or not.
Thousands of Palestinians desperate for food stormed into an aid facility in southern Gaza. The chaos claimed dozens of lives with accusations that the Israeli military personnel opened fire to control the crowd. Israel denies the charge. Israel even rejects reports of starvation in the Palestinian enclave. Speaking at a Holocaust Remembrance Conference, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said, "There is no starvation in Gaza."
We take thousands of prisoners. We sort them out into civilians and into combatants, and we photograph them. And you can see those photographs, those videos. What's the first thing you do when you take a prisoner in Gaza? First thing you do is you tell them, take your shirt off. We want to see that there's no suicide vest. Thousands and thousands of prisoners have taken their shirt off. And you don't see one, not one, emaciated. Not a single case. From the beginning of the war till the present. In fact, you see quite the opposite because you don't get that much exercise.
Netanyahu's comments have drawn attention to another concern that was overshadowed by the hunger crisis and bombing of Gaza. The issue of years-long Israeli actions of taking Palestinians as prisoners, many of whom have not been formally charged with a crime or presented in court. On April 17th each year, Palestinian Prisoners' Day is commemorated to highlight the plight of those held in Israeli prisons. The Palestinian Prisoners Society has reported that since October 7th, 2023, there have been 17,000 arrests carried out in the West Bank, besides thousands more in Gaza. Reports suggest that there are currently more than 10,100 Palestinians in Israeli prisons. This number includes 37 women and over 400 children. Over 3,500 administrative detainees are reportedly being held without formal charges or having undergone a trial. The sheer number of Palestinian prisoners in Israeli prisons substantiates claims made by human rights groups including the United Nations of a lack of any stability for Palestinians in Gaza, neither in terms of aid nor security. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Still in Palestine, where annually the Israeli Flag Day March, hosted by the Israeli government, turns into a controversial conflict and controversial sparks between the Palestinians and the Israelis. It has been reportedly started after racist slurs were chanted by Israeli people in the streets. Take a look.
Crowds of Israelis marched through Jerusalem's old city, waving flags and dancing to mark Jerusalem Day.
There is no place like Eretz Israel, and there's no like Am Yisrael. There is nothing like this. I have the chills just standing here. You could feel the energy.
Some groups of Israeli youth were seen confronting Palestinian shopkeepers, passers-by and schoolchildren. Some of them were seen spitting on people, lobbing insults and trying to force their way into houses. Some also chanted, "Death to Arabs," "May your village burn," and "Gaza belongs to us" during the celebrations.
Now, this is seen by Palestinians as a provocation. I'm in a Palestinian area, as I said, but most of the shops have had to shutter. Police are trying to keep the peace between the few Palestinians that remain in this area and the protesters. I've heard racist slogans chanted, "Death to Arabs," songs like "May your village burn." I'm hearing the protesters banging on the local Palestinian homes. This march today threatens to only inflame tensions in Jerusalem that are already high because of the nearly 600-day war in Gaza.
Israel's far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir visited the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, further stoking tensions. The Al-Aqsa Mosque compound is a long-time flashpoint between Israelis and Palestinians. United Arab Emirates summoned Israel's ambassador to express its condemnation of provocative practices by Israeli extremists during a rally. This year's flag march again coincided with the war in Gaza, now in its 20th month, and escalating Israeli military operations against what they call Palestinian militants in the occupied West Bank, where settler attacks targeting Palestinian residents are on the rise. Israel captured East Jerusalem, including the Old City, from Jordan in the 1967 Middle East War. Palestinians seek East Jerusalem as the capital of a future state that would include the West Bank and Gaza. In a fresh move, Israel has approved the construction of 22 new Jewish settlements in the occupied West Bank, a move that has drawn praise from right-wing supporters at home and condemnation from human rights groups and foreign governments. The decision is likely to further entrench Israeli presence in the occupied territory that Palestinians seek as part of a future state. Around 700,000 Israeli settlers live among 2.7 million Palestinians in the West Bank and East Jerusalem.
Now let's go to Turkey. Recep Tayyip Erdogan is writing a new history in Ankara. He has appointed a new team to write a new constitution for the country. One where he would make sure he would win the next elections in 2028. Will he succeed? We tell you.
Turkey is on the edge of a political cliff, with its longest-serving president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, promising constitutional changes.
I have assigned 10 legal experts to begin their work, and with this effort we will proceed with the preparations for the new constitution. For 23 years, we have repeatedly demonstrated our sincere intention to crown our democracy with a new civilian and libertarian constitution.
Critics, including opposition parties who are holding unprecedented protests, are warning the president is making grassroots changes to hold on to power.
The struggle here is no longer a political party struggle. Democracy and autocracy will compete and be voted for.
birden
Erdogan says the constitution that was formed after a 1980 military coup is outdated and carries a strong influence of the military. Under the current constitution, Erdogan is serving his last term as president that will end in 2028. To extend his rule beyond 2028, Erdogan must change the constitution, for which he needs 2/3 of the votes in parliament. As of now, Erdogan lacks the numbers in parliament. 400 votes are needed to change the constitution, but Erdogan's ruling alliance only has 325 votes. This can change if the pro-Kurdish DEM party lends its support. Erdogan can move a step closer to push through his new constitution with renewed ties with Kurdish party. Erdogan can potentially swing a required majority in his favor. Since its independence in 1923, the Turkish military has functioned as the self-appointed guardian of Turkiye's constitution. Since then, the military has carried out multiple coups against elected leaders. In 1960, Prime Minister Adnan Menderes was removed from office. PM Süleyman Demirel faced the same fate in 1971. The military took direct control and dissolved parliament in 1980. In 1997, PM Necmettin Erbakan was forced to resign. Erdogan himself faced a coup attempt in 2016 that he thwarted, mobilizing public support in his favor. In order to combat any potential threat of a military coup, Erdogan has consolidated power on multiple fronts. He fired 81% of top military officers, promoted loyalists within their ranks, ensuring the military aligned with his government's vision. On the political front, he has put top opposition leaders behind bars. At least 7 elected opposition mayors have been removed from office after Erdogan's ruling party faced a setback in municipal elections held last year. This includes his arch-rival and former Istanbul mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu, who remains in jail on charges of corruption. To Erdogan's current advantage is a recent truce with Kurdistan Workers' Party that announced the end of a 40-year insurgency in Turkey. Many believe the main aim of the reconciliation effort is for Erdogan's government to garner Kurdish support for a new constitution that would allow him to remain in power when his term ends in 2028.
Thousands have become stateless overnight in a very oil-rich country. I'm speaking about Kuwait. Reforms in the citizenship matters have turned 30,000 people and more into stateless people overnight, we tell you.
Kuwait, a Gulf country of over 4.9 million people, where most of whom are expats, has intensified efforts to combat citizenship fraud and dual nationality violations on its soil. Tens of thousands of people have lost their citizenship overnight. The mass revocations have been cast as part of a reformist agenda spearheaded by Kuwaiti Emir Sheikh Meshal Al-Ahmad Al-Sabah, who dissolved parliament and suspended parts of the constitution 5 months after taking power in December 2023. The latest citizenship policy appears aimed at restricting nationality to those with blood ties to the tiny oil-rich nation, reshaping Kuwaiti identity and potentially trimming its electorate. The sweeping reforms include the cancellation of Article 8 and the introduction of a mandatory 15-year residency requirement for foreign wives of Kuwaiti nationals before they can apply for citizenship. Foreign spouses of naturalized Kuwaiti citizens will no longer automatically gain Kuwaiti nationality. Kuwait's government official says so far the Persian Gulf nation has provided over $6 million in foreign support to foreign wives of Kuwaiti nationals. Foreign children of naturalized Kuwaiti citizens will have a choice to either retain Kuwaiti nationality or their original nationality within a year of reaching adulthood. A new provision allows children born to Kuwaiti mothers and foreign fathers to be treated as Kuwaiti citizens if the father is deceased, imprisoned, or has divorced the mother. While Kuwait's parliament is a rarity in the monarchical Gulf, its tiered citizenship system limits political rights to those born to a Kuwaiti father. It is unclear how these changes will impact Indian expats who make majority of the Kuwaiti population and its workforce. After Iraq's invasion of Kuwait in 1990, naturalized Kuwaitis were granted voting rights after 20 years of citizenship, as were children born after their father's naturalization. At the time, it was a token of appreciation for standing by Kuwait, but also a push for national unity after liberation. However, Kuwait's new leadership appears to envision an exclusive version of Kuwaiti nationalism, one which doesn't indulge in dual citizenship and temporary stay on its soil.
Saudi Arabia and Turkey. These are two main powerhouses in West Asia, and their relationship has been marred by complexities over the decades. But in the recent, they seem to be working together in Syria to stabilize the country. Or is that so? Our next report tells you more.
Since the fall of Bashar al-Assad's government in Syria, two economic West Asia powerhouses, Turkiye and Saudi Arabia, have joined hands to revive Syria's economy and bring it back to the diplomatic fold. The new Turkiye-Saudi bonhomie was on display during US President Donald Trump's surprise meeting with Al-Shara in Riyadh. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman was in the room, while Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan joined the meeting on the phone. Trump credited both the Crown Prince and Erdogan for persuading him to lift sanctions imposed on Syria. On Thursday, Syria signed a $7 billion energy deal with a consortium of Qatari, Turkish, and US companies as it seeks to revive the war-torn country's crippled power sector. In the past, Turkey and Saudi Arabia have had regional and ideological differences. Both also have different approaches to political Islam. Turkey has backed the Muslim Brotherhood, a pan-Arab Islamic movement that Saudi Arabia considers a terror organization. The lowest point in relations came in 2018 when a Saudi hit squad killed Jamal Khashoggi, a Saudi citizen and a US resident who wrote critically about the Saudi government for the Washington Post at Saudi consulate in Istanbul. Turkish officials who had access to audio recordings from inside the consulate alleged that Khashoggi was killed in a premeditated operation by Saudi agents. Prince Mohammed acknowledged the killing that came under his watch but denied ordering it. Ankara and Riyadh shared concerns about Iran's outsized influence in Syria under Assad, which disappeared with Assad's ouster. Riyadh and Ankara have also recently established a united front to counterbalance Israel that has been suspicious of Al-Shara, once a leader of a formerly Al-Qaeda-linked militant group. With the lifting of Western sanctions paving the way for lucrative reconstruction deals and other investments in the new Syria, experts say that the Riyadh-Ankara alignment is likely to continue. A lot depends on the future of Syria that shares a common ground of interest with both the nations.
Jordan is one of the world's most countries with the scarcity of water. But in the recent, they have found a new volcanic option to nurture life. Take a look.
The Arab Kingdom of Jordan has found an unusual yet innovative solution to its water problem. Located to the north of Jordanian capital is the Mafraq region, where major mining operations are underway. Workers and machinery are processing volcanic rocks, crushing them into sand. This processed sand is used a key material in the production of volcanic soil, which helps fight water scarcity and desertification.
Today we see the world suffering from water problems, its scarcity and salinity. The world today suffers from the problem of temperatures and climate. The world today is trying to fight desertification through afforestation. This soil is the ideal solution today that matches all the solutions today to water problems, as it provides 50% to 60% of water. Also, this soil has the advantage of being salt repellent and resistant to harmful weeds.
Mine engineers say the minerals extracted from rocks vary from a place to another, claiming that volcanic rocks are exclusive to North Jordanian region.
The quality of rocks varies from one place to another. There is zeolite, like the one we have in the mine here. There is zeolitic tuff in one of the other mines we have. There are basalt and pozzolana. All of them are volcanic rocks that formed thousands of years ago.
Jordanian group called Watad derived the alternative to traditional soil back in 2019. Currently, the Watad group produces 1 million tons of volcanic soil on an annual basis. UNICEF has ranked Jordan as the second most water-scarce country in the world, with annual renewable water resources that amounts to less than 100 cubic meters per person. This is well below the severe water scarcity threshold of 500 cubic meters per person. However, the Jordanian group is resilient to be a leading innovator in the global markets, where volcanic soil can replace modern-day fertilizers and turn deserts into forests.
That's all we have for you on this episode of the West Asia Post. I will see you next week with a brand new lineup, always bringing you the most recent updates, news, and ground reports from the world's most volatile region. I am Ghadi Francis signing off from Lebanon. For more global news, keep on watching WION. World is One.
We all know the story.
As makers announce the release date of The Devil Wears Prada 2, we take a look at all the upcoming remakes, reboots, and sequels. Dive into the world of music with a never-seen-before auction. And find out why baby blue is the color of the year. All this and much more with me, Diksha Bisla, on WION at these times.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
WION Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to WION Health Resort. Make your reservation at yowon.com.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Wow, folks, we all know the story.
As makers announce the release date of The Devil Wears Prada 2, we take a look at all the upcoming remakes, reboots and sequels. Dive into the world of music with a never-seen-before auction. And find out why baby blue is the color of the year. All this and much more with me, Diksha Bisla, on WION at these times.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.